I say we jump into the last episode of this arc. What do you say?
Let's do episode 3.
Let's do it. So right after the title credits, the camera begins to pan to space.
And
we
the
see
final frontier.
We see Cassian's TIE drifting outside of Nebula. I really loved this opening because it felt so Star Wars, right? Like that's how Star Wars movies open, is something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got like a planet or a celestial body of some sort, and then like a pan down to a ship kind of deal.
Like the classic movie Star Wars.
Yeah, from 1977. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, that one.
I think I've seen
cult classic.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the sequel?
I heard the sequel wasn't very good, so I haven't seen it.
Inside the TIE, Cassian uses his comms to try and reach Clea, but he hotwires his TIE and it spins out of control. And you know that's got to hurt.
Yeah.
When he was inside, that was not a good feeling for Cassian.
Like I think he was bouncing around in that bubble, getting joysticks in the stomach and all that.
Yeah. We cut to Mineral, and B2 chases the kids as they run through water spouted by a droid.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. Life is peaceful on this planet.
Yeah. So one thing that has not changed with Andor Season 2 is that we haven't had tons of aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we've had tons of little droids. Like there's been lots of different droids in the backgrounds of places.
Water spigot droid.
Yeah, you got that. You got like there was a real chunky boy. I can't even remember where he shows up in. He's like an astromech.
B01.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like
boy.
Yeah, it's like an astromech with no rounded curves or edges or anything. Just only straight lines and planes. Yeah, chunky boy.
CHBO1. Yeah. Chunky boy. Yeah, so life is peaceful here as they all gather around a big table to eat, but the village elder, Kellen, returns and Brasso goes to speak with him, and they learn that they're next on the inspection schedule, that the Empire is going to be coming to their township next.
Bum, bum, bum.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all. Brasso asks if they're checking visas, and the elder, Kellen, gives him an emergency work order that is not legit, and it's only to be used if they get caught. And Kellen asks why they can't just leave them in peace before Brasso and Kellen embrace. And you get the sense that things are not going to end up going well on Mineral at all.
Yeah, the storm is approaching. The Imperial fist is closing around Mineral.
Tightening. We cut to Chandrila. Mon waits for Lita, and Mon gets to see her in her wedding dress. And this starts off as a really nice moment, Mac, and it sours very quickly.
Yeah. What a thing to lay on. Like, I understand having this moment with your kid, but maybe do it like before any of these celebrations happened.
Maybe not right before we walk out.
Right before the ceremony. Like it's not the time probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's a wild little
the time would have been when Lita was crying about like he's such a wimp.
Exactly.
That was the time to bring this up.
That was the time.
Not now.
Then could have been like, hey, we're gonna cut this real short, everybody.
Enjoy your second punch.
Yeah.
Second night punch, but we're done. Mon mentions how her mother was drunk, probably on second night punch, on her wedding day. And then she goes on to tell Lita that she can walk away from it all right now if she really wants to. And it's actually going to be remembered as a brave thing if she were to do that. And then Lita tells Mon she wishes she was drunk instead. Like, how dare you?
Yeah. Yeah, and this moment's hard, right? Because you understand what Mon is trying to express, right? Because she's dealing with a couple things. She, I think, has had a turbulent marriage in her adulthood. I don't know that she's like super loving all of that situation and everything. So I think that's coming into it. But I think bigger, she's just feeling guilty that this is happening in the first place.
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's because of her. Yeah. So she's trying to kind of be like, hey, I'm trying to make sure, like, I'm trying to almost alleviate my own guilt by giving you this out.
Absolutely.
Which is maybe not the way to go about all that.
Probably not.
So
Probably not.
but you understand.
Yeah. So this does not go well. Mon is very hurt by this. She shuts down. They put on their veils for the ceremony. Just brutal. Mon then goes to stand in front of Lita, wiping away her tears as the ceremony begins. And I realized as this was happening, we've never really seen a wedding in Star Wars before, besides Anakin and Padme at the very end of Attack of the Clones.
And that was intentionally super, small. It
Discreet.
There was no party.
I'm still shocked they invited C-3PO to the wedding.
I know. I can't believe he made that guest list. Like R2, obviously, he's there. He's the realist.
He's the best man.
C-3PO, please.
He's gonna tell everybody.
Like that toast is going to be so embarrassing.
I just wouldn't trust C-3PO to keep his mouth shut.
I was thinking more that he would be a terrible wedding guest.
I think he would, for sure. Because he's going to make it all about him.
Yeah.
And how comfortable he is.
The odds of this marriage succeeding are...
For sure doing that. For sure doing that. So the wedding begins, but then we cut to Coruscant, and the happy couple, being Cyril and Dedra, prepare for the meal, and it's weirdly Mad Men. The way that they are dressed, the way that they're just kind of going about this is very almost like they're robots or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's showing that they're both extremely invested in keeping up a certain appearance, keeping up a like the public perception of themselves, and then it's like I think this is probably mostly how their house looks all the time. Honestly.
Oh, for sure, yeah, for sure.
But you add on top of that it's the mom coming to visit, and there's all this historical insecurity and like need to validate yourself in her eyes and stuff like that. I think that's definitely and Dedra, of course, knows how important all of that is and everything. The tension is palpitaneable. It
is there. Yeah, so they wait for Edie to arrive, and Cyril goes to greet her rather reluctantly. And as she enters, the veiled insults begin. And I really, really love the interplay between Dedra and Edie. And
just pronounce them however you want.
I don't care.
It's whatever.
Jedha.
Yeah. Coruscant.
That's how George pronounced it. Cyril gives... It's getting late, sorry. Cyril gives Dedra a look of, I told you so, whenever she starts talking in front of, like, oh, you really wanted to do this? In the gallery on Coruscant, Clea has a message, and she plugs in, and from the other side, we see Cassian check in, and he explains the situation he's found himself in, and Clea mentions that he cannot reach out to Mineral because the communications are down, and he very quickly figures out why that is, and he shuts down the conversation because he is heading to see if his friends are okay, very much like Luke Skywalker would.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, that was immediately my thought. Empire Strikes Back, that sequel we were talking about that's not that good.
He's joking. Internet.
It's my favorite Star Wars movie. But like it feels very much like, his mission is probably to deliver this tie or whatever, and check back in with headquarters and all that. But like that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But he, I think, is facing the same decision Luke had, which is like, do I do what I'm being told is like the thing I should do, or do I do what I feel, which is go for my friends, because like everything in me is screaming, go help your friends.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately the message Star Wars would have us take away is that sometimes that is doing the right thing, even if it's not. And that tends to be what makes the grand plan work out, is the devotion to your friends and all of that. So, but classic dilemma. Notice the parallels.
I would be remiss to point out that you said doo-doo a lot. All right.
Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
All right. Let's do some listenable podcasting for this third episode here. Proceeds to cough into the microphone.
Later, the interrogation of Dedra Miro begins over fondue. Topics of discussion include Syril's deadbeat dad, Syril's sensitivity, Dedra's lack of family, just all the things you want to talk about.
Edie comes in so hot with all these questions and is just like and like we've all met somebody like this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who thinks that as long as they're smiling that they're being nice, and that is not the case.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually worse in a way.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So Dedra explains that she was actually raised in an Imperial Kinderblock, and
I love that term, Kinderblock.
I've got a timeline issue with this. How old is she? The Empire's only been around for 16 years.
That's a great question. Or that's a great point.
I think maybe it was a Republic Kinderblock,
Yeah.
and you know, she's just so Empire that she calls it Imperial.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll go with. That's a good way to make that work.
Yeah. Edie judges that. And there's just some really good stuff here. Again, the humor is really turned up this season, I feel like, so far.
It's humor, but there's a lot of real stuff underneath all this too that, like, you know, like it's my skin starts crawling a little bit whenever Edie gets on screen. She's great, by the way. All the performers for Dedra, Syril, and Edie, I don't know how they get through these scenes with straight
without
faces and everything.
Yeah.
They're like good on them.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff from Tony Gilroy and the company here. But we cut to Chandrila and the wedding continues, and then we switch back to Mineral as the group quickly works to pack up. And back on Coruscant, Edie just attacks a cake. She's just laying into this thing. Syril can't take it anymore. He needs to go and have a little breakdown by himself.
It's so funny.
Again, I'm loving Syril. I am.
I mean, I can relate to Syril in this moment for sure.
Because I've done this before. I'm just going to go lay on my bed.
It's like,
while I
left something in the other room.
Yeah. But when he's gone, Dedra sets Edie straight. She lays out the rules for Syril and how they're supposed to act around each other from now on.
Yeah. She was like, hey, you're the old mom. I'm Cyril's new mom now. This is how it's going to be.
That's 100% that scene.
That's pretty much what, it was.
I am the captain now.
That was exactly what it was. Hey, we all know that this man is just purely subject to the whim of whatever, like, the closest woman to him is at any given point. I'm that woman now. Oh, man.
I love it. So all this is going on while in the other room, Cyril's laying on the bed. When he hears his mother laugh, he's alerted and concerned at her laughing, and he stands back up to join them. He kind of smooths his hair down a little bit, and he realizes that something happened in his absence, but he's not sure what.
It makes him uncomfortable. It's like something's changed in here.
On Chandrila, Davos Skolden unveils the Shandy mural.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac, I am about to geek out here. It's a temple figure, one of 12, that was stolen 25,000 years ago when Chandrila was sacked by the Rakatan invaders.
Boom.
Let's go.
This is our third Rakatan reference in Andor.
Let's go.
It's wild that the Infinite Empire is being referenced the most in this very grounded street level story.
I feel like maybe when they were making this, they thought that Dawn of the Jedi would be the next movie.
That would make sense.
And so they're putting those references in throughout because it's coming, and now the status of that is kind of up in the air.
Yeah. That makes some sense.
But I love this.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So, yeah, Luthen came to him last year of a rumor of this, and they found it together. Now, here's a question I have. Mac, I think Luthen loves Knights of the Old Republic just as much as we do.
Yeah. Like, there's a specific tie from Luthen's character to the Rakata.
Yeah.
I think it's a special interest of his. I mean, if he's doing... Yeah, we learn later that he was on like some kind of journey with Skolden to get this thing, and is it just like an academic fascination of his, or is there anything more to that? I don't know. I would venture to say it's probably just a fascination of his, and I think he may have studied how people overthrew the Rakatan Empire to kind of putting those into his techniques for overthrowing this empire.
That is great insight from you. 100.
That may be why the Rakatan Empire keeps coming up from Luthen.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll accept that gold star. I'm gonna put it on the fridge when I get home.
I just gave it to you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, but it's just really cool that we keep getting references to Knights of the Old Republic, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it took us an hour and 54 minutes to get to it, but here we are.
Scratch it off your bingo card.
Oh, man. This is the longest episode we've ever recorded.
Is it? It may not be.
No, I think it is.
Okay.
I think that it is. Skolden gifts the happy couple the artifact, which, going back to Luthen real quick, if we lived in the Star Wars galaxy, we would do anything to be Luthen's assistants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me involved in the rebellion. Send me out to look for Rakatan artifacts, please.
Yeah. I mean, like, when push comes to shove, I'm gonna also transition into my Clea role.
We'll find the Starforge for the rebellion.
There we go. That's perfect. That's perfect. We have to go on an adventure that will indeed benefit the galaxy.
With Bor Gullet and She Gullet.
Yeah. If the rebellion gets the Starforge, they become the Empire immediately, right? Like, they
100%.
become way worse than the Empire ever was. I think
if Luthen's still alive, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, so then we see Luthen talking with Erskine, who is from Star Wars Rebels, like we talked about in our episode 1 breakdown, which is really, really cool to see him here. And we learn a little about him in this scene. His father is Chandrilan. He was born on Naboo, but his mother is Gorman, and Luthen reacts to that. He has a very genuine, I think, reaction to, oh, your mom's Gorman. Because she was Gorman, they weren't really welcome anywhere. They bounced around until Mon stepped in to help his family. That's interesting.
Interesting. I think he may end up filling a vacuum that another character is going to be leaving very shortly, I think.
Interesting. Do you want to expound on that? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think Take Homa is not long for this world.
Oh yeah, no.
I think
he's a goner. He's dead.
So I think
Cinta gets involved, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
You're done. Like, I was like, oh, Cinta's here? Yeah. Good night. We're like, I don't know that we're ever gonna see Take Homa again after this episode. I think that
she took him to that big farm in the sky. Yes, he has all the room to go run that he wants.
She put Take Homa really securely in the witness protection program. That is
very securely. Yeah. So speaking of Tay, he bumps into Erskine before walking off towards Mon. He's sloshed on his fourth night punch.
Whatever night it is.
Yeah. Tay starts saying that he's with Skolden a lot. Actually, he's telling Mon this, that they've actually been hanging out. Tay and Davos Skolden have been hanging out, and he kind of wishes that he was more like Davos Skolden. And he yeah, that's never a good thing.
It's not the takeaway to have, Tay.
No. And he promises that they will talk about it all next week. And then the wedding dance begins, and I'm going to learn this dance to perform at the next Star Wars celebration. We're dancing on YouTube.
We're doing a lot of dancing on the YouTube.
And it's just a lot like of the
voguing, a lot of like traditional goth dancing with your wavy, floaty arms, lots of hands above heads, lots of that.
Risco rules. All right, let's cut to Mineral. B2 is upset with Brasso because he's staying behind with Talia, and I guess he is.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to talk about this at the end of the episode. Let's talk about it now. I think B2's staying on Mineral. And this is the end of B2.
Yeah, they may have just been kind of, this is the transition. We're kind of putting away these characters that we liked a lot. I think it's also just going to free up Cassian and Bix in a big way going forward to be Bix specifically. Bix doesn't really have, after this episode, a whole lot of ties to anything that was keeping her anywhere before, you know?
Except Cassian. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Cassian's all over the place. So.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious to see where that goes. But so B2 is upset with Brasso because he's being left behind with Talia, his girlfriend. But then in the distance, a TIE Reaper comes and flies over them.
Yeah.
Back in their home, Bix tries the comms again for Cassian, but there's nothing. Did you notice the picture of Marva next to the
No,
comms?
I didn't.
There's
That's
a picture of Marva there.
I love Marva.
Brasso asks where Will is, being Willman, and they realize that he's with his girlfriend. And we cut to a scene where they're together, and she finds his blaster when the Imperial hover trucks arrive, stopping at the depot. And they see Will's speeder. As Will's girlfriend returns, the lieutenant gives her an extra creepy look of, I'm looking up and down her, and her mother orders her inside because she knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep. It's all very uncomfortable.
Don't like it.
We'll talk about that more.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Will books it across the fields as Brasso goes on to get his speeder, and this is the shot I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. I love this shot. It looks so real, him riding the speeder through the wheat field. It's so cool.
It's so good. Brasso's just the man. So solid.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Chandrila, we cut back there, and Mon walks through the wedding to find Luthen, and he scolds her for Tay and Davos Skolden building a relationship, and he reminds her that he was always against this. He's got to point that out.
Yep.
And he tells her that no amount of money can hold off Tay, and something else needs to be done to fix the situation. And Mon frowns, saying that she isn't sure what he's talking about. And Luthen says, "How nice for you."
And that's a huge distinction between their roles and everything.
Yeah.
Because Mon has her hands a lot, like proverbially cleaner than Luthen. Even though, Luthen's not on the ground pulling the trigger most of the time, but he's the one ordering everything. And he knows exactly how this part of the rebellion works. So yeah, I liked that line a lot. And I think that impressed what it meant to on Mon too.
Yes, like you got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You can't, you're not in it with me like I'm in it.
Right.
But that's when DJ Roomba enters the room.
Boom!
And they're playing the hit Naomos song. Man, this is a popular song throughout the galaxy, and I love that.
Yeah, I love that we get it. It's like a remix of it. It's the most recent remix.
Yeah.
It's more the club banger version than the straight party environment track it started out as. But it's good.
Yeah.
I love it's. This is like one of the probe droids that Zam tries to use to kill Padme. Except it's got like a disco ball instead of the big yellow part.
Yeah. You're right.
But it's laid out the same way.
DJ Roomba. So we cut to Mineral real quick to see the lieutenant is heading towards Bix, and Cassian arrives over the planet in his tie, and the tension's really building throughout the episode here. And then back on Chandrila, Mon decides, you know what? Screw it. She and the mother-in-law, they're going to go party.
And this starts a incredibly uncomfortable sequence. Like it's when Mon starts taking shots that things get crazy, because you can tell she's going through it. She's not having a good time. So that's like why she's decided to have a great time. And then like it's juxtaposed through everything it's cutting in between. And it's like, come on, like just the ending of this episode, especially being like a mini finale wrapping up this individual 3-episode arc, just really brought it. It's like one of the most impactful sequences in Star Wars for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, but I do have to say, if I was Lita, I'd be super embarrassed to see my mom dancing like that.
I mean, I thought Mon was kind of getting it.
I agree. I'm just thinking from her perspective.
Okay, all right.
Right?
I guess nobody really wants to see the parents boogieing down.
Nobody.
I guess that's kind of an inherently uncool thing. Yeah. All right.
But good for her, though.
Yeah.
Good for her. On Mineral back with Bix, she makes contact with Cassian very briefly on the comms, but it's too late. The lieutenant arrives. And Mac, this is where we got to talk about it. I was really shocked that they went so far in this with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty dark stuff.
And it's not the implication of anything. It is.
It's that. It is
graphical representation of what's happening.
That, I mean, she even says it.
Yeah, and like, so like, yeah, I was definitely shocked, and like it was kind of a jarring thing, just because that's not something we've ever experienced anything like in Star Wars and everything.
Yeah.
I do think that if you're gonna have a show about oppression and that side of power, you can't exclude like sexual assault and stuff from that conversation.
Yeah. I hate that it's like, man, all the worst things are happening to Bix.
So I was gonna say that as well. So I'm not opposed to this being in Star Wars. It was definitely shocking and stuff. I'm still kind of wrestling with how I feel about it. I think it's important to explore, though, like in modern conversations, because having conversations about it in stories and stuff, that's how we improve things and change things for the future. And this is a huge part of like male power and the way that it's used to oppress people in particularly. But it sucks that like like you said, all the worst stuff is happening to Bix. And I feel like she's getting damseled a little bit. Like she's just going through bad stuff to get saved by other characters. And
I will say, I mean, she pretty much saved herself in this situation.
She does.
But I see what you're saying. Like, I don't. It just sucks that it's happening to Bix, I guess. I don't know what else to say about it. But, I mean, she was tortured, and then she experiences this.
Right.
What else can she experience? Yeah.
Like, she's been through everything terrible that a person can at this point, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that feels excessive to me. Just
it does.
In how much Bix has gone through and everything. They could have spread that out in some ways.
Sure.
I also don't know if this, like, graphic of a representation of that kind of assault and stuff is...
I don't feel like it was needed to be. Personally, I would have done without this scene.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's an important conversation to have 100%. In Andor. It seemed like a little bit too overt and like graphic of a way to do it. Like, I understand that it's a terrifying thing, and like,
here's my issue with it. Yes, Andor's clearly aimed at adults.
Right.
No, I don't think your kids should watch Andor. Right. Personally, I do think around middle school is probably okay. This makes it a little not okay now.
Yeah.
In a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it excludes a huge, probably your biggest audience of Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Are not going to be watching the rest of the season.
I guess.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But they probably weren't watching it anyway.
Anyway.
But, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do think if there's a show that Star Wars was going to address this in, Andor is the correct one.
Well, and you got to go back to what George Lucas wanted to do with Star Wars Underworlds, and he wanted it to be rated R. He wanted it to be HBO, Star Wars, there to be violence, sex, drugs, that sort of thing. Very different take on Star Wars. And I will say this, TV is the avenue to look at these themes, not movies of Star Wars.
For sure.
I never want a rated R Star Wars ever.
No. They should, like, it needs to be the bench, like, the movies should be kind of the benchmark of, like, what Star Wars is, and that it's for everybody and everything. And then you use the smaller avenues to explore the other tones.
Yeah, it's just jarring. I think that it's something I expect out of other shows. Didn't expect it from Star Wars.
Yeah, like you said, it's never something I would have expected turning on Andor, or Star Wars in general. So yeah, like I'm still wrestling with it a little bit. Like I don't know. It's an important thing to address in this show. I probably just would have done it a little bit differently. I think you could have gotten away with a lot more implication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know that's not, how that works in real life and stuff.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Just for this show's sake, I don't know. It's a tough, nuanced comment or topic. Like,
yeah, and I think too, as you can see with our conversation with it, it becomes the central focus of something now.
Exactly.
Instead of the Star Wars of it.
Yeah, that is something that's
and so that it takes away. I think it's a lightning rod, and even if it's about, like you said, it shows and highlights, hey, this is what power can do, and these are some of the dangerous facets of power, and exploring that. I think people get lost in the weeds in these type of conversations about it, and so it's definitely going to be a topic of conversation this week.
People will be talking about it this week. We will see what the internet has to say. But like
as you know, the internet is a great place to go and see what people's opinions are. So I can't wait for that.
Only correct opinions on the internet. That's what I heard.
Anyway, this happens, and Brasso. Outside of this, Brasso gets caught by a stormtrooper sneaking around in the wheat field. Back on Chandrila, Mon is doing shots. She is not doing well now.
Tanking. Just
we do get a very cinematic look from her where she kind of turns. It looks like a painting. Like it just looks so good where she looks really, really sad for a moment.
There's a wasp in my office.
Oh, God.
I'm trying to decide if I'm going to kill it or
it's the
continue
Empire.
On. Sorry.
The look on your face just now was not a good look. I was like, what has happened to him?
There's a wasp right there.
Do we need to pause for a second?
Let's pause for a second.
Let's pause and come back to the conversation.
Let's pause. The wasp has been vanquished. I did emerge victorious from battle.
I wish we had recorded it.
I didn't want to get like a terrible shrill scream. Like
Wilhelm scream?
Yeah. Because that's what that sounds like if I get stung by a wasp. I got stung by a wasp like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
But
I'm sorry. All right, let's get back to this. So Mon is doing shots on Chandrila. We got the fantastic shot of her looking back. But then on Mineral, Will is still booking it through the fields while the lieutenant is getting more and more comfortable inside with Bix. The lieutenant tries, but Bix is not to be messed with. She fights back with she fights back while the driver outside listens in confusion. I think he's thinking something else is going on at first, so he doesn't really do anything. In the atmosphere, Cassian identifies the Star Destroyer and then zips down to the surface, and Brasso is taken hostage, and we learn Kellen is the one who betrayed him. I think, is that the way that you read it? Is like Brasso gets really mad at Kellen, or is he getting mad at Kellen to like protect him?
I had the latter. Okay. They have that very intentional look at the end of everything where they kind of nod to each other. I think that's their actual goodbye kind of undercover thank you that he's saying, because I don't think he sold him out.
Okay.
I think Brasso knew he was like,
he's saving
his goose was cooked, but he could get Kellen out of this if he made it look like Kellen was a sympathizer.
Gotcha.
That was my read. It could just be because I really like Brasso and thought he would be a solid enough dude to do.
He just looked really angry to me, so I wasn't sure. Brasso, I don't know.
I think you could probably read it either way, honestly.
Sure. I don't think it matters at this point, to be honest. So yeah, we keep intercutting to Mon just getting it on in the club. She's letting it go, it seems. And then we go back to Bix continuing to fight back against a lieutenant named Kroll and manages to hit him upside the head with a wrench, stunning him. She attacks him again, and she's winning now. Back at the outpost, they realize Lieutenant Kroll is in trouble, and he stumbles out of the home and collapses after hitting his head again as he falls, and he's dead.
Yeah. And he couldn't be dead enough for my satisfaction.
I wish, like in the scene in Inglourious Bastards when they shoot Hitler in the face.
Yeah.
I would love that scene to happen to him.
Yeah. I think that would have been appropriate.
Yeah. Spoilers for that movie, by the way.
Yeah, they kill Hitler.
Sorry. It was actually shocking to me when I watched that. I was like, oh, alternative history. I like this.
We're just doing it. Okay, cool.
Okay. Back at the outpost, I already said that. The majority of the troops rush out on a hover truck to save him. Back at the house, the driver approaches with a blaster drawn, and Bix tries to tell him what happened when Will starts blasting at him from the wheat field. Using the distraction, Bix fires at the driver, killing him. We cut back to Chandrila. Tacoma is leaving the party finally. But look at who the driver is. It's Cinta.
Yeah, I think Tacoma is leaving the party we know of as life.
He's leaving the party of life.
Yep. I think I totally suspect we do not see Tacoma again after this.
No, he's gone. He's dead. He's for sure hanging up on a meat hook somewhere.
Yeah.
Vel catches sight of Cinta for a moment, and they both share a look before continuing on. We cut back to Mineral as Cassian passes over the hover sleds before swinging around, aiming and firing a missile directly at them. Using the distraction, Brasso tries running away to his speeder as the troopers fire at him, and he passes under a silo as Cassian swings around to take out the troopers. He manages to get most of them and then destroys a silo to drown out the final 3 troopers. Cassian swings around to Brasso's speeder, seeing smoke pouring out of it. He lands and races out to Brasso, only to find him dead. And he's gone, Mac, and I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, I feel like Brasso looks when I look at Brasso like that.
Okay. Bix and Will arrive on the speeder looking for Cassian. They finally reunite. He has to tell them that Brasso's gone. And here's the thing. I somehow hope that maybe he's actually okay and will be nursed back to health and live out the rest of his days with B2 and Talia on Mineral and totally fine.
I think for our purposes that happens.
Okay.
I need that to be true, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe he loses his memory, and that's why he never reaches back out to Cassian and Bix. But
and B2's like, but Brasso, why don't you remember
me? Never mind. That's even worse. Somehow that is even more heartbreaking. Wow. Okay. Way to kick a man when he's down, Alex. Jeez. Yeah, well, this was devastating for me. Yeah. I love Brasso.
Yeah, he's the dude, and R.I.P. to the dude.
Solid dude.
Best friend you could ever have.
Yeah.
Brasso. Anyway, Cassian pulls Bix into the tie to make their getaway. Back on Chandrila, Perrin notices Mon letting go while Vel sits alone, and Cinta takes Tay to that big farm in the sky. On Mineral, Cassian, Bix and Will fly over Brasso as they leave the planet behind, and we end the episode with Cassian's face realizing his best friend is dead.
Just fully dissociating behind the wheel. Just he's not there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the same look I give when I'm driving home, being overstimulated from work.
From one of those days.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we switch to Mon dancing. And she's continuing to dance her worries away, and we cut to black. End of episode. End of the first 3 episodes of Andor. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, that whole sequence where they're cutting back and forth between like Mon Mothma dancing and in a seemingly happy, jubilant celebration scene, but like we know that she's lost, you know. Cutting back and forth between that and all of the action happening on Mina Rao and the loss of Brasso and like what Bix is going through. Like it was just a brutal sequence to end that episode on. Yeah. And what a fantastic first 3 episode arc for Andor season 2.
Very strong.
It's off to the races. They're getting it going. I think you know low points. Definitely just like we've talked about the Cassian storyline, particularly in episode 2, I think was really where it was, kind of
those guys
toilsome. I think after seeing these 3 episodes, I for sure think Andor was the wrong choice for title. For this show, like keep the show exactly the same, but like I think it
could
Rebellion
have been
called
or
Rebellion
Rebel.
Right, Birth of the Rebellion or something like that.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah, because I think Cassian is not the main character anymore. Like he's an equal player in terms of the main characters, but it's not like this show is centered on him anymore. I don't think, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Where do you think we're going next? 4, 5, and 6 next week.
I think we'll see things develop with the Gorman massacre. I think we're going to be seeing the ISB do their operation probably in the next 3 episodes. Whatever that's going to look like. They're going to, because I don't suspect the actual event of the massacre is going to happen until probably later in the season.
But maybe the setup for it.
Yeah, it may be kind of we see them seeding the like false rebels and stuff in there, and you know, we're gonna get more Krennic talking about how they're gonna do that and everything like that.
Sure.
I think Cassian and Bix are gonna have to, and Will by extension, he's also there.
Adopted son.
Yeah. I think they're gonna have to meet up with the rebellion at large. They need somewhere to go. They've lost their kind of refuge. Cassian still has to kind of, check back in after the mission and everything.
But remember, it's a year later. So I mean, we can.
Oh, that
miss
is
all
true.
of
That is true. Know? I forgot about that. I think it'll be Bix and Cassian in like working, like they're living with other rebels and stuff like that now. I think Cyril and Dedra will. I think Cyril's going to start feeling inadequate because of Dedra's advancement and stuff. I think that's where they're going. But I don't know. Hopefully we get one more scene of Luthen being absolutely insane and getting in people's faces.
Stilgar.
Is that where everyone's going? Because he's like being eccentric and playing up the act while also finding out information for the rebellion. He's finding information about Imperial troop movements.
Do tell.
Oh, Stilgar.
Speaking of, call into our voicemail hotline, 205-259-6675. Keep it under 3 minutes. If you mess up, hang up, try again. One voicemail. You could make it on to our voicemail hotline episode coming later this week, or our bonus voicemail hotline episode exclusively on our Patreon that you can pay for just $2 a month to get access to that, 100 bonus episodes, and our Discord, which is a lot of fun over there. And then don't forget to participate in our 5-star review challenge, and you could win some amazing prizes. Screenshot your review, have the word Axis in it, and email MandalorianWatch@gmail.com to get entered into the contest. I cannot wait to talk with all of you again later this week as we listen to your voicemails and talk about your theories, and then get ready for 4, 5, and 6 next week, dude. Let's
Boom.
go.
Well, like Alex said, we'll be back later in the week with some voicemails, and then there's plenty more Andor Season 2 coming around the corner. But until then, keep the watch.